Happy sunrise, family. I know it's been a minute since I posted a video. There's been a lot going on, y'all. Life has still been lifing, but I figured I would at least pop in and do a fall TBR and give y'all some recommendations for spooky season, since spooky season is slowly creeping up upon us. If you're new here, hello, welcome to my channel. Go ahead and pull up a chair and join into all the chaos, okay? As y'all can see, I wore one of my favorite graphic tees. Y'all know I love a graphic tee. Wednesday from Wednesday. If you haven't seen the Netflix show Wednesday, I think it's another season getting ready to come out, but it was such a good show. And you know, it's a spinoff of Addams Family, and I just love that show and this character so much. So, you know, I had to put it on for the spooky season vibes. So technically the fall equinox doesn't kick off until the 22nd of this month, I believe. So I figured I will go ahead and give y'all some recommendations. I have a little bit of everything. We got dark romance, we got fantasy, we got cozy mysteries, all of the things, y'all. So hopefully some of these recommendations hit for y'all. I already read my first book for spooky season, which so happened to be Madness by Chantel Tessier. Y'all already know I go hard for my girl. I love my girl. I ended up getting the arc for this book. I'm not gonna say too much about it because it just came out on the 30th, and I did also do a reading vlog for this that'll be out later in the month because I want to give everybody time to read the book if this is the type of genre you're into. So yeah, I read that. Loved it. Still have so many thoughts. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to share it with y'all. Before I jump into the recommendations, I do want to show y'all what I plan on reading in the month of September. I'm keeping it kind of light because I've been in a little bit of an ADHD burnout, and I've been burnt out for probably about 3 weeks now. If y'all haven't seen my most recent vlogs, I did 2 reading vlogs where I was actually sick too. It's been a time. So because I'm still kind of in the midst of an ADHD burnout and I haven't really been knowing what I wanted to read, like I've been in the mood to read but not knowing what to read. So I actually called in my husband to help me pick books for September, and I'm keeping it very, very light because I just don't know. I'm just gonna fill it out, vibe it out, and see if I can get into some of these. So I am still somewhat in the same energy I was in before, where I just really don't know what I'm in the mood to read. So I'm calling in the reinforcements.
How much you gotta get? 3?
3. I need 3.
You already gonna read this one. This one the first one you pull out, so you can read that one. And I'll make that one simple. You ain't got
okay.
Oh Lord.
That's a no?
I ain't like it.
The ones that's up here that you looking at is fantasy based. Mm-hmm. And then the ones that's down here on the bottom shelf is like thriller and mystery, or, you know.
There's only 3 in it. Darn, this a series?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you need to read this one now.
Okay.
It'd be bad if they just got a good what do you call
synopsis.
it? Synopsis. Been murdered along with Isaiah's white husband, Derek. Wait a fucking minute. Ain't a black man wrote this too? Mm-hmm. This would be good, but this seems like it'll be a good movie.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Just by reading that seemed like it'll be a good movie.
It sound good?
Mm-hmm. Both to sound good.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. I like the cover.
Yeah, the cover's nice. The texture feel good.
Oh man. I like that one too. I might need to read a book this year.
Yeah, I tell you, I got a lot of good stuff.
This would be a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with this one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with this one right here.
Okie dokie. Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
No, I see it. That's what Mercury in the microwave in it.
Yes, Mercury is, well, Mercury just got out the microwave, but Saturn's still in the microwave.
I need to read this. I bought this.
Yeah. So every spooky season, me and my two reading buddies, Brittany and Brittany, we go and we try to figure out what we're going to read. We did it last year. We read a couple of series. We read some standalones, all things spooky, all things psychological thrillers, all of that, the goriness, whatever. We did that last year, so we're going to be doing it again this year, but I don't think we're starting until October. So while I'm waiting for us to finalize the books that we're going to be buddy reading for October, I had to figure out what the hell I was going to read for September. Okay, family, we have our winners. We have a dark romance, we have a fantasy, and we have a thriller or psychological suspense type of situation. So the first book is The Lake by Natasha Preston. I have had this for a minute, and I've heard a lot of people say good things about her books. So I'm interested to get into this and see what this is about. Apparently it's something that got to do with people that went to a camp, some little summer camp or something. Something tragic may have happened and maybe it was swept under the rug. Yeah, it says the lake never forgets. The secret they've kept buried for so many years is about to resurface. So we gonna see what that secret is. What's tea, Natasha? The second book on my list is a dark romance, Shallow River by H.D. Carlton. Now, if you've been following me for a minute, y'all know between H.D. and between Chantel, by far some of my favorite dark romance authors thus far. I've had this one for a minute. I believe this is her first book. I could be wrong. I very well could be wrong. But I think this is the first one that she wrote. This is a standalone, and I've been waiting to get into this for a long time. So just based off of the blurb alone, I think this will be good for spooky season. And then last but not least, you could tell by the purple sprayed edges, this is going to be the fantasy read, and this is Gothicana. So this is also a dark romance, so to speak, but from what I saw in the blurb, it was kind of giving fantasy vibes because it's like castles and all type of shit like that. I don't know. I could very well be wrong. I could be misinterpreting the fuck out of this, but either way it goes, I got this over the summer. And I've been waiting to get into it because I just love the cover so much and the sprayed edges. I've heard mixed reviews about this book, so we just gonna see what it's giving, and I'll let y'all know. So last year, I actually buddy read with two of my friends, the same two friends that I went to Reader St. Denver with. We did a spooky season buddy read throughout the entire spooky season. As soon as October came, we just spooky season down, okay? So I'm gonna show y'all the books that we read last year. These that I'm getting ready to recommend are not gonna be like the fluffy, cozy mystery type of books. I have some of those recommendations, but we're just getting into what I read last year, and maybe this will intrigue some of y'all. The first set of books that I read was called The Souls Trilogy by Harley LaRue, okay? These are the books. The first one is Her Soul to Take. The second one is Her Soul for Revenge. And the third one is The Soul of a Witch, okay? I loved these books down, all right? They're dual POV, first person, and there's a lot of tropes. There is some spice in here, I'm not gonna lie. So if you're not into spice, it might not be for you, but there is spice in each one of these books. It does get a little dark. Each one of these is an interconnected series, right? So you do have to read them in order. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of spoilers, and some of the storyline isn't really going to make much sense. So I would advise reading them in order. Her Soul to Take follows Leon and Raylan, I believe her name is. Ray is for short. Leon is a demon, y'all. Let's just start there. Basically, the gist of this book is they're in this town, and the town is ran by a cult, so to speak. And this cult is they in some dark shit, okay? They doing things they ain't supposed to be doing. They doing sacrifices. They got ties with spiritual realms and things of that nature or whatever. There's magic in here, there's witches in here, there's demons in here, there's gods in here. It's a mix of a lot of different things, okay? but it does get fairly dark. So if dark is not for you, I wouldn't advise it. If you can stomach dark type stuff and gory type stuff and things of that nature, it's definitely under the category of thriller, psychological type of stuff, and mystery. So if you're in that and you can stomach the darkness aspect of things, I would definitely say give it a go. I really did enjoy these books. Like I said, the first one follows Leon and Raylan. The second one follows Juniper and Zane. And then the third one follows Everly and Callum, okay? Each one of these characters shows up in each one of the books. You get a background on each individual character, how they are the way they are. It tells a story from the very first book to the third. Like, the story just continuously flows. It's very, very, very good, y'all. So if this is something you're interested in, I definitely say add it to your TBR. It's worth the read. I believe these are on Audible too. So if you want to just listen to it, give it a go. The next book that I read last year for spooky season was the Mindfuck series. Now, this is more so along the lines of mystery and thriller, okay? There's not a lot of spice in here. There might be like 1 or 2 sex scenes, but it's not spicy. It's just like regular, the type of shit you would see in movies, okay? If you're strictly here for the spooky, this would be it. This is by St. Abby, aka Stabby is what they call her. She did actually pass away, so rest in peace, Stabby. But this was a very good book. This book follows Lana and Logan, okay? This is also dual POV and is written in first person as well. You know, I love a first person book. And basically, this is all about somebody out for their revenge. Some tragic shit happened to her and her family when she was younger, and now she is out for revenge. And boy, does she get it. Okay? I stand for Lana. I love Lana. Everything Lana Myers, okay? I fuck with Lana the long way. She is definitely that girl. She is her. She handled business, okay? So yeah, you have Lana, and Logan is actually a police officer. So imagine you being the person that's out here doing all of this unaliving and getting your revenge for whatever happened in the past, and your person is a police officer. So you can only imagine how that storyline is going to go and how it's going to flow. I ate this book up. This book actually has 5 books in one. There's 5 books in this series, but it's all in one book, okay? So you don't have to wait. Yeah, it's pretty thick, but it's worth the read, y'all. It's very gory. I'm gonna tell you that now. So if you're not into the gore, this might not be for you. But it's very gory. It has a great mystery undertone, trying to figure out why this happened to her and her family, who was behind it. It was really giving The Hills Have Eyes type shit, okay? But this was a very, very good read. So if you're into the mystery, you're into the gore, you know, 10 out of 10 recommend. Last year, I also read a book by Harley Beck. It's called Come Out, Wherever You Are. This was more so a psychological thriller, okay? So again, if you're not into the gore, if you're not into the spice and things of that nature, stay away from this, okay? It's very, very gory. It's very gory. It fucks with your brain. It really fucks with your mind, y'all. Especially the way that the ending is. My God, it was crazy. Basically, I can't remember the girl's name in this book, but her and her friend get drunk one night and they're driving home, and she ends up hitting this guy. And the guy that she hits is her crush. Like, she has the biggest crush on this guy named Nate. And he ends up dying. And basically throughout the book, Nate is hunting her, so to speak. Like, she's convinced that he's come back to life and all type of stuff like that. And the story just goes on from there. This story is so twisted and crazy, it don't make no sense, y'all. I was literally scratching my head the whole time. I think I rated this 5 stars because this was the first psychological thriller that I've ever read. And the twists and turns in this book literally left me stunned, okay? So if you're into psychological thrillers, if you're into horrors, because this is more under the horror type of genre, if you're into horrors, if you're into the gore and all of the things, definitely give this book a chance, okay? I promise you won't be disappointed. It is literally perfect for spooky season. If anything, I would say leave this one closer to October. Read this one closer to Halloween. Very, very good read. The last 3 books that I read for spooky season last year was by Molly Doyle. The first one was called Scream for Us, which was like a masked man type of novella. It was really good. It was some spice in there. It was a reverse harem, why choose type of book. Really, really, really enjoyed that book, okay? Or that novella. It was a novella. Really, really enjoyed that novella. That was the first one we read. And then it was supposed to be a second one, which was the actual novel called Bloodshed that we ended up reading. Did not enjoy this one, but I will recommend it. Some people did like Bloodshed. I personally was not a fan, okay? I personally was not a fan, but I read it. So there's that. If you want to follow up the story after reading Scream for Us, this will be the next book in line. You know, you might like it. I don't know. I didn't. The third book in this series is called Melt for Me, and Melt for Me is more is under a Christmas type of vibe. However, it's still spooky, okay? So if you did want to read it for spooky season, by all means do so. All 3 of these books go together, okay? So Scream for Us, Bloodshed, and then Melt for Us, or Melt for Us. All of these go together. Spice, kind of gory, a little bit of a mystery type. It's a little bit of a mystery type of thing, but it wasn't my favorite. I really did enjoy Scream for Us, but I wasn't a fan of the other 2. But I'm recommending it. Other people liked it. Maybe you might like it too. Okay, so the last couple of books I'm going to recommend are books that I read throughout the year, whether it be this year or last year. I either read them near spooky season or I just read them and I felt like it kind of fell in the spooky season category. So I'm going to show y'all these books too. So Dark Matter, I talked about this book in my most previous vlog. This is a psychological mystery thriller romance type thing. It literally has all of those genres in one. This was legitimately my favorite read of 2024, okay? If you want to know more about it, as far as like my thought process in it, of course there's no spoilers, but I did talk about this in my last vlog, my August reading wrap up. You can check it out there, but I highly, highly, highly recommend, okay? Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. If you're looking for just something that's going to make you think, very thought-provoking, the mystery got your mind just going nuts, definitely get into this during spooky season. This will be a great read. The next book that I have is Bad Mother by Mia Sheridan. Okay, I bought this last summer and I actually buddy read this too. I enjoyed this book. It wasn't my favorite, but I definitely enjoyed this book. If you enjoy, you know, like CSI or NCIS, Law and Order, those type of vibes, this will be the book for you, okay? If you're more so along the line of mystery and, you know, investigation and things of that nature, this will be the type of vibe for you. This followed Sienna Walker. She was a part of the NYPD. She ends up getting fired for whatever reason and sent back to her old town where she has a lot of secrets in that particular town, okay? And her first case has to do with a serial killer that has a fixation on her, okay? Whoever the serial killer is obsessed with her life. They know things about her, her intimate, you know, intimate details about her life. And every time they commit this mass murder of some sort, they're leaving clues and things for her to kind of figure out who they are, why they doing what they doing, and how it's connected to her. I enjoyed this. It wasn't my favorite for different reasons. I think I rated this a 3 or a 3.5, which is still good for me on the scale. You know, 3s are good for me. It's like I enjoyed it, just wasn't my favorite. So the mystery, I definitely enjoyed figuring out who done it and why, you know, and finding out who did it, and especially how the book ended was insane, okay? So yeah, if you're into those type of vibes, I would definitely recommend this for you. The next 2 books that I have, I actually did a reading vlog on both of these too during the time frame that I was sick. And this is the Sinner's Duet. The first one is There Are No Saints. The second one is There Is No Devil. So this is somewhat of a dark romance, but it's I can't even really, I don't think I would put it in the dark romance category. There is a romance in this book, but this was more so, there's some goriness in here. If you read Butcher and Blackbird, then you can get with this, okay? This reminded me of Dexter, the show Dexter. It's dual POV, first person. You have Cole Blackwell, who is a famous artist, very, very well off as far as money and things like that is concerned, but he is an unaliver, okay? And then you also have Mara Eldridge. She is also an artist, but she's more so, you know, an up-and-coming artist. She hasn't made her big break yet, right? It's not necessarily enemies to lovers, but they don't like each other in the beginning. So I guess you could say that's not rivals to lovers. I guess enemies to lovers. They weren't a fan of each other in the beginning, so, but they kind of grew to love each other. So yeah, this is giving enemies to lovers, mystery, there's some spice in there. I had a good time with these. I definitely had a good time with these. And I also like the fact that there were illustrations in the book too. Yeah, see, in different chapters there are illustrations in the books. Yeah, these books were fun. They were fun reads. I would like to call them cozy mysteries, but I mean, it does have some gore in there. It's not, I wouldn't put these under dark romance because it wasn't giving dark romance per se, but it does have some dark undertone just because it's a lot of unaliving and things of that nature. But I enjoyed these. If you're into that type of thing, I would definitely get into these. Which brings me to Butcher and Blackbird. So this was also a fun read. It wasn't my favorite only because I felt like it was overhyped. I went into it expecting something totally different, and it didn't live up to its hype for me, but it was still a very, very fun read, okay? I enjoyed this. Some people got a little, you know, it was some things in this book that made people a little, you know, a little cringy or whatever, because this does have to do with unaliving as well. It's two serial unalivers where they make unaliving a competition. Now, granted, the unaliving isn't like innocent people. They're doing the scum of the earth, okay? So like them doing what they're doing, it makes sense to them why they're doing what they're doing. But it was very, very funny. I had laughs, like I did chuckle while reading this. I also read this in my sick vlog. This was one of the books I read when I was sick. I listened to this and read it at the same time, which is a vibe. So the Audible, definitely, if you're into Audibles, I would definitely say listen to it, okay? If you have the hard copy, listen to it and read it at the same time. It's definitely an experience. This and these gave me the same vibe. So if you've read this and never read this, I would say go for it. If you've read this and never read this, I would say go for it. I think it's good for spooky season just because of the undertone of the book. It's a lot of goriness and unaliving and wittiness and banter in each one of these. And I think it was spooky season worthy. So if that's something that you're into, definitely give it a go. I believe the second book is already out. It's called Leather and Lark. I haven't read that one yet, but it's definitely on my spooky season TBR. I probably just won't get to it until October or November. But this one is the first one. If you haven't read it, I would say go ahead and get into it. The next book on my list is Satan's Affair, another one by H.D. Carlton. This is a novella and also a spin-off of the Cat and Mouse duet. Now, if you're not into gore, once again, if gore is not your thing, or seeing people deal with like real life trauma as to why they turned out the way that they turned out, this ain't for you, okay? But if you're into the dark romance genre, or you're into, you know, the gore doesn't bother you, the trauma doesn't bother you, the triggers don't bother you, things of that nature, I would definitely say give this a go. I think Satan's Affair, if I remember correctly, I think they said to read Satan's Affair before reading the Cat and Mouse duet. But I actually read the Cat and Mouse duet first and then read Satan's Affair. Either way, I don't think it matters. But this Sibby is one of my favorite characters in this universe. She is unhinged. She reminds me of Harley Quinn, but more unhinged, okay? She ain't wrapped too tight, but she's hilarious. She is so funny to me. I ate it up. She's hilarious in this, and she's also hilarious in the Cat and Mouse duet. So if this is something that you're into and you want to know a little bit about who Sibby is, if you read the Cat and Mouse duet, definitely get into it. If you just want to read it just for the spooky season vibes, get into it. It's all about Halloween carnivals. She too only unalives bad people, okay? So, and she likes to dress up as a doll, and she hides in these Halloween carnival type things, just scoping the scene, trying to find people that are no good so she can get rid of them, like the scum of the earth they are. Enjoyed it, okay? Definitely get into it if this is your vibe. The next recommendations that I have would actually be the Never After series, okay? I read this last year. I can't remember when. I did post a reading vlog on this series as well if you want to get into it. I believe the last book in this series is getting ready to drop in November, and that one is called Hex. So that's also on my TBR for spooky season. Can't wait for that to drop because I did enjoy this series. Now, the reason why I'm including this in the spooky season recommendations is because these are story retellings. These are the stories of the villains and the villains getting the girl, okay? And we love when the villain gets the girl, all right? So the heroes are actually shitty ass individuals and the villains are like, you get their stories, their torture stories, and you fall in love with them. So I thought this was a good spooky season type thing because it's different fairy tales that have like a dark undertone. So ate it up. So the first book we have Hooked, and Hooked is a Peter Pan retelling. This one is very, very good. A lot of people love Hooked. This is a lot of people's favorite book. Loved Hooked as well. Very, very good. It wasn't necessarily my favorite because I read the entire series, and I know there's other books in this series that eat down more than Hooked did, but Hooked is still very, very good, okay? This is a Peter Pan retelling, and there is some gore in here. There is some gore in here, okay? So if you're into the goriness for spooky season, this will be your girl, all right? This will be that girl. The next one is Scarred, and this one is a Lion King retelling. This was actually one of my favorite ones in the series, all right? This follows Tristan and Sarah. Loved this book. This one is more of a slow burn. All of them are slow burns. Emily really likes slow burn books, but this one is this one is the slowest of burns, okay? Love Tristan, love Sarah. This was hands down one of my favorites, okay? Then we have Wretched. This was my favorite of the series. This one is a spin-off of Wizard of Oz. I forgot. Yeah, Wizard of Oz. This one follows Evelina. We call her Evie for short. And her guy is Nicholas. Yeah. And it is kind of giving the same vibes as the Mindfuck series because she is, of course, the villain. And he is in the DEA. Okay. So if you get what I'm putting down, boom. Loved this book so much. I think this was the only book that was reverse harem in this series. And this didn't get the hype that it deserved, okay? We ride for Evie. We stand beside her, behind her, in front of her. It doesn't matter. Evie is that bitch, period. The next one is Twisted, and this one was actually a Aladdin spinoff. I wasn't a fan of this one. This one was too misogynistic for my likings, but a lot of people did actually like Twisted. This is some people's favorite. Wasn't mine. But this follows Yasmin and Julian. And I'm going to just leave it at that. If you want to read it, definitely read it. You might enjoy it. It just wasn't my favorite. Last but not least, we have Crossed. And Crossed is a spinoff of Hunchback of Notre Dame. Dame, whatever. Yeah, this follows Father Cade and Amaya. Ate this one down too. This is definitely one of my favorites as well. Loved it. I highly recommend reading this series. You can read it for spooky season or you could just read it in general. I enjoyed these books. Okay, the next two books that I have is also a part of a series. This is the Keeper series by M.L. Burns. I've talked about these books a couple of times in some of my reading vlogs. I highly suggest these books, okay? This is more on the fantasy line of things, but it is dark, y'all. It has a lot of unpacking trauma in these books. So if you're not one that wants to go in to deal with trauma or relive trauma with the characters or witness that type of vibes, then this probably is not for you. This is a dark romantasy, but because it's fantasy and it still has that dark undertone, I do suggest, I would suggest reading it during spooky season. Now, the first one is The Hourglass Keeper, and the second one is The Dragon's Keeper. Both of these follow Azahara. How can I explain this book without giving it away? Because there's so many subplots in this book, it don't even make no sense, y'all. So Azahara basically ends up within this binding contract with this god. But this god really ain't shit, y'all. Like, oh my god. He falls in love with her. She's clearly immortal. She's a muggle. He falls in love with her. He don't even fall in love with her. He's obsessed with her. And he wants her for himself. And she's just hard down, like, no means no, right? And because she's telling him no, he don't want to hear it. So he curses her to where now she's stuck at whatever age she is. I think she's 20 something in this book. She's stuck at that age. She lives out the entire year and she dies every single year. And every single year that she dies, she loses her memory from her previous life, okay? And she does this repeatedly, years upon years upon years upon years, until she tells this God that she wants to be with him. And she is adamant about not being with him, okay? That's just the like synopsis of the book, but there's so much story that goes into these books. It's crazy, okay? That's not to say that's the plot. That ain't even the plot. It's just so much that goes on in this book. I love these books. I stand for these books. I think the next one is getting ready to come out in either November or December. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But I love this book. The Dragon Keeper was actually my favorite of the series so far. But this is a good series. I think this is dual POV. They are written in third person though. So if you're not a third person girly, that's just a heads up, okay? I'm a person that kind of struggles with the third person because, you know, ADHD. But it is worth the read. If you can get past the third person, it's worth the read, y'all. I think Hourglass starts off a little bit slow just because that is the buildup, it's the information that you're needing just to get the understanding of what's going on. But all fantasy books kind of start off a little bit slow, okay? So give it a chance. Give it a chance. If you don't want to read the book, I know The Hourglass Keeper is available on Audible, and both of them are available on KU. So if you have Kindle, you can read them on Kindle if you don't want to get the physical copies. I don't think the Audible has come out for Dragon's Keeper yet though. So yeah, definitely recommend. Okay, last but not least, these are actually 2 Audibles that I listened to last week actually, because you know the weather was changing and the fall vibes was vibing a little bit, so I wanted to go ahead and get it started. So the 2 Audibles that I listened to, I did talk about the first one in my last reading wrap up. This one is called Witches Get Stuff Done, and then the second one is called Big Witch Energy, and it's a series. It's called the Starfall series. Okay, it's a cozy mystery. It has minimal spice. It's not a lot of spice in there, y'all, and it doesn't go into details. So if you're not a spice person, this is right up your alley. Both of these are available on Audible. I'm not sure if they have physical copies of these books or not. I just know I listened to them on Audible. It's 3 witches. Each one of them follow one of the witches. So it's their POVs and whatever is going on. The third one hasn't come out yet, but I think it's coming out either this month or next month. I can't wait. I already have it waiting on Audible for whenever it comes out, it immediately drops. I can't wait because I really did enjoy this series. The first book follows Riley and she's coming back to Starpoint and hopes to get a connection with her aunt, I believe it was, but her aunt ends up passing before she even gets there. In the aunt's will, the aunt leaves her a ton of money. She leaves her a job and she leaves her this mansion, okay? She's never met the aunt a day in her life. She's never even spoken to the aunt a day in her life. But upon receiving all of these things, she realizes that her aunt is a witch, her mom was a witch, and she's also a witch. She was unaware of all of this. So she's walking into a whole bunch of family drama that she is unaware of, as well as all of these powers that she has. In the process of her gaining these powers, she also has to try to find ways to protect herself and her family's bloodline because they have enemies that's after them too. So it was a very interesting read. I was very intrigued with the storyline, and the banter between her and Edison was also, it was cute and cringy, so I loved it. And throughout this book, she also ends up finding different people that's in her coven, okay? And that's what makes the storyline continue, because the second book is actually about the second girl. I can't remember what her name was. Caroline. Yeah, it was about Caroline, and I believe the third book is going to be about, I think her name was Alex. Don't quote me on that. I don't recall. But either way it goes, each one of the girls are going to get their own book. And I'm excited about the third book because I really did enjoy these. All right, everybody. That is all I have as far as my September hopefuls and also my spooky season recommendations are concerned. I hope that y'all enjoyed this video and that I was able to give you a couple of recs to get into spooky season as well. What do y'all plan on reading for spooky season? Please drop it down in the comments below so I could get some more recs for myself. With all that being said, I hope y'all enjoy this month. I hope it's full of blessings and abundance and peace and harmony and love and all of those things. I will catch y'all next time in the next video. Love y'all. Bye.